Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. My name, of course, is John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege to have you guys joining me here today. You know, when you make a fool of yourself and no one else sees it, you shouldn't tell people about it, but I'm going to tell you about it. See, today's show, normally we do the John Campea Show live. We do the John Campea Show live every day, Monday through Friday. And on Fridays, I do it from the home studio. I give my studio crew Friday off. So they don't have to work on the show on Friday, and I just do all the lifting myself here on Fridays to give them a bit of a break. It's been a while since I've done a John Campea Show from home. It's been a little bit, been a couple of seconds since I've been here. So earlier today, if you're watching this pre-recorded, and I am recording this on Friday morning. So what happened is, I was all set to do the live show, and I could not get YouTube. Now, normally I set up my live show, and then I hit stream. And then on YouTube, it says, we're receiving your stream, go live with the show. That's what happens, right? So I set everything up, and I hit the streaming button, and it wouldn't acknowledge on YouTube that it was receiving my stream. I'm going, what's going on? I check all the settings. I do, and then 9 o'clock hits, and I'm not ready to go. So I reset the launch time to 9:10 a.m. I tell everybody in the live chat board what's going on, and I go through a whole bunch of things. Try hitting stream again. Look to YouTube. Refresh YouTube. See if it tells me it's receiving my stream, and it's not telling me I'm receiving my stream, and I'm losing my mind. So I reset the show to 9:30. Tell everybody in the live chat board what's happening. Say, give me a few more minutes. Try to figure this out. Blah blah blah. Hit stream again. Go check, waiting for YouTube to tell me, okay, we're receiving your stream, ready to go live. And then I would click live, but it wasn't receiving the stream and it wasn't going live. And I was ready to pull out my hair. So finally, I tell everybody in the live chat, guys, I'm having technical problems. I can't do it live. I'm going to have to pre-record the show. And everybody was very, very, very understanding and very generous and very nice and saying, no problem, John, no problem, John. So then I'm like, all right, damn it. So then I cancel the live event and I reconfigure everything to record the show. And that's when I realized I have two buttons. One is stream, one is record. When I was trying to get the live stream started, I wasn't hitting the stream button. I thought I was hitting the stream button, but I wasn't. I was hitting the record button. And that is why YouTube kept telling me, John, we're not receiving your stream. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm sending you my stream. And I was ready to scream and throw things through windows. And it all just turns out that I'm just an idiot. And I was hitting record instead of stream. Like I said, it's been a little bit since I've been in studio doing the show from home. And so that is my fault. It wasn't YouTube's fault. It wasn't a technical error. It was 100% moron error. That was the error. This guy right here. So sorry the show, for those of you who were tuning in live to watch live, that's why the show didn't get going live. All right, well, listen, guys, we do have a number of topics we're going to talk about here today. Now, how do we take our questions here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You guys pick our topics by sending me your topics and questions anytime to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. With that out of the way, let's get to the first question of the day. And the first email today comes to us from Oliver M., who writes, Hey, John, I went to see Glass the other night, and I really wanted to know what you thought about it. I went in expecting something great, and I really felt like it didn't deliver. I'm not saying I thought it was awful, but I left with an overwhelming sense of meh. Am I crazy? All right, thanks a lot for the email, Oliver. And yes, I also went out to see Glass. I went to go see it last night. Me and Ann were really looking forward to it. It wasn't in my top 20 most anticipated films of 2019, but it did get an honorable mention because I have been excited about it. I have been looking forward to it. Ever since the trailer dropped at Comic-Con, I thought it looked like they were going in the right direction and all that kind of stuff. So I go in and watch Glass. Horribly disappointed with it. I just got to be straight up honest with you guys. I was horribly disappointed with it. And I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you what I wrote on Twitter. Because what I wrote on Twitter really does sum up my feelings on the film, all right? Here's what I wrote on Twitter. Glass, a wasted opportunity of a movie that tries to shamelessly pander to an audience that it clearly doesn't understand. Flashes of excellence that never materialize into anything more than fleeting. But it's the first part of my tweet that really sums up my overall annoyance with Glass. You could tell they're pathetically trying to pander to a comic book movie audience, while at the same time you can clearly tell they do not understand the comic book movie audience. Like M. Night, I guess, who's been on a streak lately. Look, if you haven't seen The Visit, it's a good little movie. The Visit's a good, solid little movie. You should check it out. A lot of people avoided it because it was a small little film and it had M. Night directing it and nobody wanted to have anything to do with it. I saw it. It's a good little movie. And then he followed up The Visit with Split, another good, solid little movie. He's been on a roll. And I thought we were getting ready to emerge into the Shamhammer renaissance, you know? When I was ready for it. The return of the Shamhammer, man, I was ready for it. And I go into and that's all it was. The whole movie. First of all, let me say it starts really well. Glass starts really well. The first 10 to 15 minutes of Glass, really sharp. The first 10 to 15 minutes to me represent what I was hoping for in the movie, right? It really represented what I was hoping for. But then a couple of the problems start to become obvious and they really start to hit you in the head. Problem number one, this movie has a severe pacing problem. It has a severe pacing problem. Like, you can have a movie that's slow, and a slow movie still can feel like it has a definite pace to it, a cadence in which it moves from point A to point B to point C, right? Even if it slowly does it, you can still sense that pace to it. A lot of great slow movies that still have pace to it. This movie, after the first 10 or 15 minutes, it hits this point where it introduces this concept. And then they revisit the concept. And then they revisit the concept. And they revisit the concept. And they never move from point B to point C for a good 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. And you see a lot in the trailer of that in the movie you have this psychiatrist who obviously believes that Glass and Dunn and the Beast are all just basically, it's just really all in their heads. They all have a mental issue that she's going to try to solve them with, right? And she's proposing to them, no, this is all in your guys' heads. And then they go back to another scene where it's her explaining to them, this is all in your heads. Then they go back to another scene of her explaining to them, this is all in your heads. And it just kind of meanders there without any progress actually happening in the film. And that was a major issue in it because it drags and drags and drags and you're like, ugh. But that brings up the biggest problem of the film to me. There is no subtlety in this movie. And what M. Night and the filmmakers of the film try to do is try to pathetically and shamelessly pander to comic book movie audiences because that's all they ever talk about in the movie. Well, in comic books this, and in comic books that, and the villain is this, and the hero is that, and blah, blah, blah. It's like they're massively trying to pander to this comic book movie audience saying, see, kiddies, we know the jive talk. We know what's hip. Look at us. We're talking your language. The problem is they don't understand this audience at all, so why they think they're talking their language, they're really not. And all I could think of as a big comic book movie fan was, this thing is just desperately trying to pander to me, but clearly doesn't get me, like an overaged DJ trying to sell me music that he thinks I think is cool and hip, but is just nowhere near the bar. And that's what I got out of Glass over and over and over again. Desperate pandering without actually understanding its audience whatsoever. And then you run into the secondary problem compiles on top of that with real pacing and slow. Now, I'll say this, a lot of people are bagging on the ending of Glass. I'll be honest with you, as somebody who did not like the film, I didn't think the ending of Glass was all that bad. It was a bold, what they were going for and what they did in the end, I'm not going to reveal what it is here. What they were going for near the end of Glass was, I actually thought, pretty bold. Pretty audacious and pretty bold. It didn't execute great, but I got what M. Night was going for in his ending, and quite frankly, I thought it was the most interesting thing he at least tried to do. I'm not going to say it worked, but to me, the ending of Glass was the most interesting thing that he tried to do. If at some point they at least tried to introduce some things subtly, and they weren't constantly hitting over the head. We're about comic books. You think you're a comic book. You think you're super. If I had a nickel for every time they said the word superhero in this movie, I would be a rich man today. And it just misses the mark. Not to mention the central character, Glass, front and center in the images, right? He doesn't have his first line of dialogue till like halfway through the film. Now, I understand why, and when you see the movie, you'll understand why too, but you're calling the movie Glass. You're putting Samuel L. Jackson front and center. Maybe you might want to do something with that. Now, as far as the performances in the movie go, I'll say this. James McAvoy, stupid. Just stupid good. Ridiculously good. Like almost not fair good. I think he even ups what he did in this movie. I think might even outshine what he did in Split. It's so good. I can't remember the last time I saw, and I'm sure I have, but I am just saying off the top of my head, I cannot remember the last time I saw a movie that I disliked to this degree, but a particular performance in the movie just blew my mind. James McAvoy does that. Samuel L. Jackson brings Samuel L. Jackson. He delivers. Obviously, you're never disappointed when he's on screen other than he was given crap dialogue to talk about. Bruce Willis, this could be total hyperbole, but I remember I came out of the theater with Ann last night. I said, did Bruce Willis even have 10 lines in this movie? And seriously, did he? Now, maybe if you sat down and counted them, actually, John, he had 23 lines. Okay, maybe he did. I'm just saying, when I came out of the movie, I turned to my wife, I'm like, did Bruce Willis even have 10 lines? Because I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel like he did. It doesn't feel like he did. And that's not his fault at all. I'm just, So, I got to tell you, look, is Glass a total waste garbage of a movie? No. There's some interesting things they try. The first 10 to 15 minutes are what we were hoping for. I thought they tried some bold things at the ending of the film. There are good things. James McAvoy, tremendous performance. There are good things in there about Glass. But overall, as a complete package, as somebody who was looking forward to this film, I was tremendously disappointed by it. Tremendously disappointed by it. And I know there are a bunch of people out there who don't like it. I know, as all films should be, there are a bunch of people out there who do like it. It's balanced, as all things should be, as Thanos would say. But yeah, I can't help it, guys. Sorry, I can't recommend Glass. I would say go see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse again. Go watch Bumblebee again. There are a few other decent. Go see The Upside or something like that. But I would say, normally I would say, look, if you're really looking forward to it, go see it anyway. But if you're like me and you're really looking forward to it, I almost want to save you that pain and say don't bother. But I don't know. Check it out for yourself and let me know what you think. That's my thoughts on Glass. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on now to the second email of the day. And the second email today comes to us from Caleb. And Caleb writes, "Hey, John, love the show." Thank you so much, Caleb. "Are people underestimating that 2019 could be the year of Jon Favreau? He is reprising his role as Happy Hogan in Far From Home, which I think could be a guaranteed $1 billion movie, directing Lion King, which will certainly break $1 billion, and also being the showrunner for The Mandalorian on Disney+. Why aren't people acknowledging him for this upcoming projects this year?" All right, thanks a lot for the email, Caleb. And you know what? You're damn right. You're damn right. Because not only is Jon Favreau coming back as Happy Hogan, it looks, at least from the trailer, that this may be the biggest role that he's had, the biggest role that Happy will have in the MCU up to this point. Like in all the MCU films, I mean, his biggest role to date was probably Homecoming. He had the most relevant things to do. I got a feeling it looks like this one might even outshine that. I mean, he certainly features really well in the trailers. So he's probably going to have a big role in that. Then he's directing Lion King, and he's showrunning The Mandalorian. I mean, this dude is going to be an actor in one of the biggest films of the year. he is directing what has an outside chance. Yes, I know there's a Star Wars movie coming out. Yes, I know Avengers Endgame is coming. I'm just saying he is directing what I believe a movie that has a chance of maybe being the #1 box office movie 2019. Laugh all you want, and I wouldn't bet money on this. I'm just saying I believe there is a chance. Just a chance that Lion King is the #1 box office movie of the year. If I had to put $100 on it, I'd say Endgame is. But I'm just telling you, I think there's a chance that Lion King will be. And not only is he directing one of the most anticipated movies of the year, he is showrunning, writing and creating and showrunning what might be the most anticipated new show coming this year in The Mandalorian. Like, think about that. This guy is going to be in a dominant movie as an actor. He's going to be directing one of the biggest box office films of the year. And he's showrunning and writing maybe the most, if not at least one of the most anticipated new shows of 2019. Acting, directing, showrunning, movies, television, blah, blah, blah. Is this the year of Jon Favreau? You're damn right. So why haven't people been talking about that? Well, I think it's because people like me and you and a lot of us film fans, when we think it's the year of, we normally focus in on actors. And for good reason, we do. I understand why we do that. For a lot of reasons, we focus in on actors. Or we'll focus in on a particular, if a director puts out 2 great films in 1 year. But Jon Favreau has spread it out over a couple different things. As an actor, as a director, as a showrunner on television. If these movies, being Spider-Man and Lion King, and this TV show in The Mandalorian, which, oh my God, I cannot wait to see Pascal lead that movie. Oh my God, I cannot wait to see him lead that TV show. I cannot wait. Anyway, if all of these turn out to be good, like not even amazing, just good. If he's good in Spider-Man, Lion King delivers. Man, I don't know how we get around saying Jon Favreau that this is the year of Jon Favreau. This dude has just constantly come out, delivered great stuff. What he did with Jungle Book last year, forget about it. Just crazy good. So, yep, I'm looking forward to this year, and I'm ready to say it. I'm ready to call it. This is the year of Jon Favreau. All right, with that down, let's move on to the next question. And the next email today comes to us from Daniel Mann, who writes, with the John Wick 3 trailer coming out, I saw a lot of people saying it has changed modern day action movies for good. However, it made me wonder, has it? I still see the big majority of action movies being released today as being okay movies, but I still find the majority to be filled with bad to mediocre action. So, has it really changed action movies for good? All right, thanks a lot for the email, Daniel. And yeah, we're all getting excited about John Wick Chapter 3. Of course, yesterday, the brand new trailer, the first trailer for John Wick Chapter 3 dropped, and it delivered. The trailer delivered. It's exciting stuff. But we've been hearing a lot of people talk about it, and you know what? I'll admit, this has probably come out of my mouth too. We hear a lot of people that talk about how John Wick has changed the action genre. John Wick has, changed, action movies today and blah, 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 blah. But you raise a great question in the email. Has it really? Like, has it? Because John Wick came out and it blew us away. Like a new type of action film made in North America. Just nutty. And the whole introduction of Gun Fu, which was incredible. Then they did John Wick Chapter 2, which I thought was a real worthy follow-up. I still think I prefer John Wick Chapter 1 a little bit better, but John Wick 2 was definitely a worthy follow-up and a worthy sequel to that first one. And has made us look at action films. Then you get movies like Atomic Blonde and whatever from the same directors. But the question is, has it really changed anything? And you know what? I don't think they have. I actually don't. Now that you mention, now that you put it like that, I got to stop and think about it. I go, you know what? I really don't think this changed anything. Because even if you look like at an Atomic Blonde, right? Well, that was done by the same guys, or one of the same guys who did the John Wick movie, so it hasn't influenced anybody else. If you're going to say something has changed something, then you got to be able to demonstratively show how it has impacted other things around it. And you're right. When you look at other kind of action movies and movies that have a lot of action in it, you really don't see a John Wick style being adopted in any way, or to the degree and that level of action that we've seen in John Wick. And then when you talk about influence, well, how many people have even seen it? Because the reality is, as much as we talk about John Wick, not a lot of people have watched John Wick movies. I mean, this is a little shocking when you think about it. When you think about how much we talk about John Wick and all that kind of stuff. But John Wick, the first one, this isn't a domestic number, guys. This number is not opening weekend. This was worldwide total. John Wick made $88.7 million. Worldwide total. John Wick made $88.7 million. Now, John Wick 2, big improvement, almost doubled its box office, but still, worldwide total, John Wick 2 made $171 million. Not opening weekend, not just domestically, worldwide. Its total box office take was $171 million. Now, what's interesting is, yesterday on one of my shows, somebody asked, I don't like when people say something was a good movie for that genre. And I try to explain, well, sometimes you got to evaluate a movie in its own context, and that's fine. So a lot of people will point out, hey, John Wick and John Wick 2 were not expensive movies to make. So those are really good finance numbers for movies that were so cheap. Yes, these are decent little results for a couple of movies that were very inexpensive to make. But if you want to take the asterisks out of it, is $88 million worldwide a great movie? A great result for a movie? Take the asterisks out of it. Depending on how much it costs to make, take that out of it for a second. Like if Captain Marvel comes out and makes $88 million worldwide, what are you all going to call it? You're going to call it an epic flop. If Shazam comes out and it makes $171 million worldwide, everybody's going to call it an epic flop. Certainly a disappointment. The reality is, the John Wick films, as much as we love them, there ain't a lot of us who have watched them in the grand scheme of things. So can we say, when we haven't seen any demonstrative effect on other action movies from John Wick, and when they really not attracted a big audience in the overall big picture of things, can we really say that John Wick has changed the action movie genre in North America? And I would have been one of the guys the other day who would have said, yes, it has. But now that you really think about it, I guess no, it hasn't. And it should. And man, that John Wick trailer that dropped the other day, dudes. Oh my God, that John Wick trailer that dropped the other day was so much fun. That scene when the guys are all on their motorcycles chasing John Wick and like in unison, whoosh, they pull out the swords on motorcycles. Are you kidding me? I just about yelped. And I don't yelp when watching trailers. And I just about yelped. I thought that looked amazing. I cannot wait to see this movie. But for now, the John Wick franchise has not changed anything. And it should. So let's see if more people get influenced by John Wick and if more people go out and watch Chapter 3. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's get on now to the final email of the day. And the final email today comes to us from Isaac Beebe. And Isaac Beebe writes, hey guys, Robert said something interesting to me when talking about Captain Marvel. He said, actors work on films the least. That's right, he did say that on the John Campea Show the other day. If that's true, why are actors usually the ones to promote these films online and on talk shows, etc.? Shouldn't the people who work on these films the most be the people to promote / market them since they work the hardest? All right. Thanks a lot for the email, Isaac. And yes, Robert Bray raised a really good point the other day about actors when it comes to movie. And remember, Robert's worked in the movie industry and he still works in the movie industry. And he said something that at first, when you think about it, sounds very shocking. But then when you let it set in, you go, oh yeah, I guess that's it's not literally true, but generally speaking, it's true. He said, hey man, when it comes to a big movie, the people who worked on it the least are actually the actors. The writers will work for years on a film. A director will spend a year, 2 years, 3 years working on a film. Set construction guys will work throughout the entire process from pre-production, production. all that kind of stuff. You got blah, blah, this, that, and the other thing. And really, when you're looking at the top layer people who work on a film, the people who actually work on the film the least are the actors. I'm not discrediting actors at all. I'm just saying, when Chris Evans can just show up for 8 weeks to shoot his part, but that director's been working 2.5 years in that film. These writers, these cinematographers, these art designers, these storyboard artists, these blah, blah, they're working on it for a year, 2 years, whatever. It's actually the actors who work on it almost the least. So Isaac raises a question. Well, if the actors, and I've heard this question before, and the reason I bring up Isaac's emails, because I've gotten this question before from people. It's like, well, why are the actors the ones going and doing press junkets? Why are the actors the ones who go out and promote the films and showing up on the press? They didn't even work on the film as much as most of the other people who work on the film. A visual effects artist will work 1.5 years on a movie straight. So why aren't those people? And by the way, I found this great picture of a press junket. And a lot of times people ask me, what's a press junket like? And I try to describe it, right? So you go into this, you wait in a holding area, then you go to one room that has 1 or 2 of the stars in it, in a hotel. You go to one hotel room that has 1 or 2 of the stars. Then you go and wait at another hotel room on the same floor to talk to the next 1 or 2 stars. And you go to another room and wait to talk to the director. And you go in, and there's 1 or 2 chairs there, and the lights are already set up, and the actors are sitting there waiting for you. Then you sit in this chair across the room, and you get 3 minutes. 3 minutes to talk to them. This picture is a perfect illustration of that. This, of course, is Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill when they were talking about Man from U.N.C.L.E. Great movie, by the way. If you still haven't seen Man from U.N.C.L.E., check out Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's great. This is a perfect picture that really sets up what is. And this guy sitting right here, that would be me. When I would go to these press junkets, I would sit there. The stars would sit across from me, talk to them for 3 minutes, and then go to the next room to talk to the next batch of stars. Anyway, so if these are actually the people who work on the movie the least, why don't we get those other people to come in and do the promotion for the film? The answer is really actually very simple. Because nobody cares what the visual effects artist on a movie says about the movie. It sucks, but it's true. Nobody cares what the cinematographer has to say about the movie. And when I say nobody, I'm being a little bit facetious. Obviously, somebody would, but the mass general movie-going audience doesn't really care. They want to see Henry Cavill. They want to see Nicole Kidman. They want to see Margot Robbie. They want to see Denzel Washington. They want to see the stars that they know. And if the whole idea is promoting the film, then you got to get attention. And you're not going to get attention if you're setting out one of the screenwriters, unless the screenwriter maybe is Aaron Sorkin. That's why in my business, everybody knows if you want to get somebody from a movie to interview, your best shot is going after the writers. That's your best shot because their schedules will be the most clear. You go after the writers. You can get them. Right? And that sucks because they're the ones who crafted the story of the movie. And yet they're kind of the easiest ones to get. So, yeah, totally understand. You would think the people who work harder on the movie are the ones that should be promoting the movie. But then nobody would care. Nobody would listen to them. So you actually got to talk to the stars. So, Isaac, that is why you don't see anybody else doing this promotion other than maybe the director. And every once in a while, if it's a high-profile writer, the writer, but always it's going to be the movie stars. And understandably so. All right, guys, that will do it for the emailed-in questions today. Now, before I had to cancel my live stream, a whole ton of people sent in some live questions, and I want to make sure we get those live questions answered. So let's go over and take those live questions that came in a little bit earlier right now. And the first live question that came in, forgive me, guys. I'm still kind of fighting off the last remnants of a cough. Probably last another couple of weeks and I'll be fine. Anyway, Lyle Navin writes, what about CGIing stunt double faces for Ben and Henry? I don't know what you're saying, Lyle. Like stunt double. What are you saying? Like do a movie with Superman and Batman and don't have Henry Cavill and don't have Ben Affleck? Just CGI their faces on other people standing in for them? Well, if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you just get Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck to be in it? And if they don't want to be, then that would be very, very illegal. You cannot, without permission, use somebody's image and somebody's likeness in your movie. You can't do that, so that would be very, very illegal. Ben Hayusa writes, I watched a 3-hour live stream of the Mortal Kombat 11 reveal conference, and the game looks awesome. Too bad we won't get an R-rated Mortal Kombat movie. The reality is, Ben, an R-rated Mortal Kombat movie would be expensive, and it wouldn't make any money. I'm just telling you, it just wouldn't make any money. I'd be down to watch it, but it wouldn't make any money. I didn't watch a 3-hour live stream, but I do remember I was watching the Game Awards, the Video Game Awards. Horrible show, by the way. Anyway, I was watching the Video Game Awards, and one of the most intriguing parts of the night was when they showed their preview for the upcoming Mortal Kombat. It looked pretty intense, right? It looked pretty sick. I'm looking forward to get my hands on that. All right, Ben follows up with, also, John Wick could have been one to save Han from Shaw. Sorry, John, but hashtag justice for Han. Screw Han. Amazing trailer yesterday, by the way. The trailer was incredible. The trailer was, a lot of times, like Glass, I was so excited about it and let me down. And sometimes I'm all excited about a trailer and lets me down. John Wick, I had so much hype for it to see the first trailer, and it hit, and it did not let me down, man. I cannot wait to see that. Spencer Main writes, worst movie, Pixels or Transformers 2? Man, 2 very, very bad movies, but I'm going to go on Transformers 2 on that. Pixels had some laughs. It's a terrible movie. I would never watch it again, but it had a couple of giggles throughout. There were a few giggles. I'll give it that. So I'll say Transformers was worse. Vrinder Singh writes, yesterday, me and my dad watched Death Wish, Bruce Willis, Escape Plan, and Bullet to the Head. I actually didn't mind Escape Plan or Bullet to the Head. We loved Escape Plan and actually liked Death Wish. Ooh, I hated Death Wish. But found Bullet to the Head absolutely boring. I actually liked Bullet to the Head. I did. I thought Stallone was pretty good in that. But more importantly, I thought Jason Momoa was quite good in it as the villain. I thought Jason Momoa was really solid as the villain. I dug him in that. Escape Plan was actually not bad. Everybody ignored it, but it was not bad. I'm not going to say it was great, but it was not bad. I almost walked out of the theater with Death Wish, with Bruce Willis' Death Wish. I came so close on a couple of occasions just getting up and walking out. I don't know why I didn't. I thought that movie was atrociously bad, but I'm glad you and your dad had a chance to watch it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad somebody got some enjoyment out of it, because I hated it personally. You dug it. That's all important. It's always kind of fun when you and your dad can sit down and watch some movies together. That's really cool. Brian Esparza writes, Robert, who is not here, how did you get into the filmmaking industry? I'm 18, moved to LA last year, and I'm an aspiring filmmaker / actor. Any tips? Well, I'm sure Robert would have a great answer for something like that, but unfortunately, Brian, he's not here. What I would suggest, and what Robert and I have both said in times, work your ass off, find opportunities, and if you don't find any opportunities, create your own opportunities. Make your own stuff. Start putting it around, putting it on YouTube, put it online, whatever. Start getting your name out there a little. But it's all about work. Too many people ask for advice and they're just looking for the magic button. Where's the magic button I press where I just have instant opportunities and instant success? It doesn't exist. Work your ass off, create your own opportunities. That's the best advice we can give. All right. Spencer Main writes, that Space Force show sounds hilarious. I can't wait. And again, take all the politics out of it. Forget the political angle of that. Take the politics out. Steve Carell coming back to television in a workplace comedy about the people put in charge of putting together this sixth branch of the military, Space Force. Is there anything better in life? That sounds amazing. I cannot wait to watch that. All right, Vrinder Singh writes, just watched the new episode of Star Trek Discovery. Really enjoyed it. I have a feeling this season will be better than the first. I'll tell you what, Robert and I disagree on this a ton. I really liked Star Trek Discovery Season 1. I really did. And I understand it rubbed some fans of the original Star Trek the wrong way because it's a different approach. And I get that. That's fine. What I've said to Robert a number of times, and what I would say to my fellow fans who are, real staunch fans of the original, is that you got to understand, you can't do the show today like you did the original. Why? Because the original died. Star Trek as a franchise was a dead franchise. It was dead. Box offices were going straight down. It wasn't generating any new fans. The fans of the original series were literally dying off and not being replenished with new fans. Look at the box office results until JJ came along and did his Star Trek relaunch in 2009. It was dead. It was a dead franchise. And I talked to Robert, God bless him. Talked to Robert, he's like, Star Trek is supposed to be this. Hey, Robert, you had that Star Trek for a long time. It had a great run, one of the greatest runs in history, and it died. And nobody would be even talking about Star Trek today were it not for the fact that JJ revitalized it. Did he do different? Did they have a different take on it? Yes. But it kept the franchise alive. And so I get that people who are looking for a new Star Trek series to be just like the original Star Trek, I can get why they'd be turned off by it. I do. I get it. I get it. But as somebody, when it comes to Star Trek, who holds no allegiance to any particular era of Star Trek, I watched that show, and I remember before Star Trek Discovery came out, I bashed on it for a long time. I thought, this is a dumb idea. Why are you putting it on CBS All Access? That's a stupid idea, and blah, 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 and all the drama that went on behind the scenes. And I trashed on that show for like a year before it ever came out. But the first episodes came online. I went into it with an open mind, and I went, wow, that was really good. And I watched the entire first season. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good. I'm not going to say it's the best series on television or nothing like that. No. But I thought it was quite good. So I'm quite excited for this season. I have not watched the new episode yet. I'm going to watch the season premiere today. And hopefully I'll like it as much as you did, Render. All right. Sebastian writes, I hope Robert Meyer Burnett is on the show today. Awesome edition. Nope. Robert's not going to be on every day. Robert's on a lot of days. Some weeks. What I'm kind of aiming for is, some weeks he'll be on Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday I'll bring in like another guest. Like I brought in Greg Alba a while ago just to mix things up now and again. And then Fridays I'll usually do the show solo to give everybody else a break. But yeah, Robert's my most consistent co-host. And I look, you guys often comment that it seems like we have great chemistry on screen. I got to tell you, I haven't had this much fun in a long time working with somebody else on set with me. It is a joy and a privilege to just talk movies with Robert. He's great. And I love it when we disagree. And I love it when we agree. He's got such a weird sense of humor, but also, he is legitimately a fanboy, but legitimately has film industry experience. Like even more than Schnepp did. When it comes to actual film industry stuff, it's remarkable hanging out and talking with him, and I'm so lucky. I count myself very, very lucky to have Robert, and I've had Greg Alba, and Greg Alba's going to be on the show more. He and I have been emailing, and he'll be on the show more, and I'm going to try to incorporate one or two other co-hosts or co-commentators with me on the John Campea Show now and again. But yeah, I love Robert. I think he's just fantastic. He and I will go out to lunch, and it's just great hanging out with the dude. He's got an infectious personality. He really does. Jay Bling writes, if Common was equal to John Wick, I hope Mark Dacascos is superior, requiring John to tag team with Halle Berry to defeat him. I don't know, because somebody else out there who's just better one-on-one than him, that kind of takes away from the whole mystique of John Wick. Like, in the first movie, the entire Russian mob, who's this guy who slapped my son, blah, 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 blah. Sir, it was John Wick. And the Russian mob boss just goes, oh. That means he's the baddest of the bad, right? He is the gold standard. But he's facing insurmountable odds. If he's not even the best one-on-one, that takes away a lot. And remember, he beat Common because he's better than Common. But if you just have, there are other guys out there who are just better than him one-on-one, that kind of undermines that whole mystique. So what do? You put him up against insurmountable odds. And even if you're the best on your own, You got these insurmountable odds. And in John Wick 3, the entire assassin world is looking to kill him. So, yeah, bring in an individual who can give him a fight. Bring in an individual who can give him a fight. But don't undermine John Wick's top of the food chain kind of status to do it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's just what I kind of think about it, Jay Bling. Dr. Panders writes, hey, John, you should get an actual tinfoil hat for Robert so he can wear it whenever he has another crazy theory. Love you guys both. Hashtag watch your back, Shaw. I really should. Because, I mean, one of the great things about Robert is that he says he's got so much great insight. And yet, you never know what you're going to hear from him because he has all this great insight, all this great knowledge, and great commentary. And then every once in a while, he'll throw out this wild, ridiculous theory. And it just keeps you on your toes, man. I should get an actual tinfoil hat. That when he puts out one of those, I should bring out the actual tinfoil hat. That's a great idea, Dr. Panders. I might actually do that. Brian Esparza writes, sorry, Rob, gotta agree with John on 3D. However, have you seen Peter Jackson's documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old? It's great, and 3D works well with this one. Yeah, it comes up a lot. I just can't get it. I hate 3D. I hate 3D. 3D is never necessary. It's a useless gimmick that the novelty of it wears off. Like, I remember even, I went in to watch Beowulf. Remember, I think it was Zemeckis who directed that animated Beowulf. I went in to watch Beowulf, and it was in 3D. And when it started, I'm like, whoa, this might be the first time I really like watching something in 3D. But about 10 minutes later, all I wanted to do was take those stupid glasses off. Take that dark tinted film off from in front of my eyes and just watch the movie. Get past the stupid gimmick. Anyway, that's just my feeling of that. Rob and I have strong disagreements over the 3D stuff, but yeah, man, I just cannot get into 3D. Sebastian writes, what is Robert Meyer Burnett's proudest creative moment in TV film? Not sure. You'll have to ask him sometime. Javier Rios writes, you guys think we'll ever see Mr. Sinister in the X-Men movies? He was teased at the end of Apocalypse. Yeah, there was actually, if you will look for, there are a couple of little Easter eggs and a couple of little teases of Mr. Sinister. I believe his name was Nathan Essex. Throughout the X-Men films, there were a few Easter eggs and little suggestions about him. Well, obviously not in this X-Men universe. This X-Men universe that we have known and loved is coming to an end. Marvel will reboot it in some way, shape, or form. Will we get a Mr. Sinister at some point in that form? I think so. Mr. Sinister strikes me as the type of character that Kevin Feige would really dig. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying it strikes me that Mr. Sinister would be the kind of character that a Kevin Feige would really like and really dig. So I've got a feeling that at some point, could be 3 years, could be 5 years, could be 7 years, but I got a feeling in this new universe I think Sinister will eventually show up. At least that's what I think. Brian Esparza writes, seen Velvet Buzzsaw trailer, Nightcrawler reunion. I have not seen the Velvet Buzzsaw trailer. I heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet. So once I do, I'm sure we'll talk about it on the show. Godzilla Love Campea writes, hi, Uncle John. Yeah. Now all you need is the Asian toy of Robert so you guys can play fight with your toys. So for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, this toy company made these figures of me and sent them to me. And I think they're great. Let me see if I can find them right now and bring them up here. I think they're great. The one thing about them, though, here they are. And I've got one of them on my set, on the John Campea Show set, right? The one thing about them is that they look like Asian versions of me. And I don't know, it's just, that's because that's where they made it. So this is how they're accustomed to making them. Or maybe because I'm married to Anne. So they maybe just assumed I've got a little Asian in me. I don't know. But here are the figures they sent to me. Man, they even nailed my brown shoes. My black t-shirt, blue jeans, and brown shoes. But as you can tell, it just, there's definitely like an Asian influence in the facial features, right? Like you can definitely see that. So, and I think the only other thing is you can see the top, you can see my hair here, right? The hair's a little dark. Yeah, if you look at the hair on the figure, the hair is a little bit too dark. It should have been a little bit lighter. But other than that, I was thrilled to get them. So I've got one of them on my desk on the John Campea Show there. So yeah, maybe we should get them to make a couple of Robert as well. That might be fun. All right. Mike Hill writes, who is the most likely to kill Thanos in Endgame? I hope it's Thor. I'm going to guess Nebula. And really, there's a lot of people. There's a long list of people who have a legitimate claim to wanting to hate Thanos the most and to kill him. A lot of people. Thor, not the least of which. Nebula might be the one at the top of that list, though. Because hers was a lifetime of torture and pain. So I will not be surprised. I won't be surprised if it's Thor. I won't be surprised if it's Captain America. I won't be surprised if it's Gamora. I won't be surprised if it's Iron Man. Won't be surprised if it's Groot. I'm just saying, if I had to put $5 down, I think I'd put my $5 down on Nebula. So that's just my guess, but who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. Only 97 more days, folks. Cannot wait to see this thing. All right. Mike Hill writes, who is the most likely to... Oh, that was Mike Hill. Sorry. John DeBenedict writes, hey, John, started Punisher Season 2 today. So far, I'm liking it a lot. Too bad it'll probably be the last season John Bernthal rocks this role. Yeah, it is a shame. And Anne reminded me this morning, because she was leaving for work this morning at 7 in the morning, and was like, we got a lot of television to get caught up on tonight. And I'm like, oh, what did I say? We got to finish The Runaways, because we got to finish off the last episode of Season 2 of Runaways tonight. And I'm like, well, what else is there? I know I got to watch Star Trek Discovery, but Anne doesn't watch Star Trek Discovery. So what else is there? And she's like, Punisher dropped. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, so Anne and I are going to be watching a lot of Punisher tonight. We're kind of geeky losers. What are our big Friday night plans? Living in Los Angeles? We're going to stay in and watch The Punisher. That's what we're doing on our Friday night in Los Angeles. We're staying in to watch The Punisher. Okay. Let's see. Ben Rayner writes, oh, you're 4. Oh, you probably mean over under. Over under 4. Office casts that show up. Remember, for over and under numbers, you got to give, when there's definite numbers like number of individuals, you got to put a 0.5. So let's say your number is actually 3.5. Because you shouldn't be able to have a tie in over under. Anyway, over or under 4. Let's say 3.5. Office casts who show up in Space Force as guest spots. I say 3. I would take Rainn. Yeah, Rainn Wilson would have to be. The girl who played Erin, and she's in the Indomitable Kimmy Schmidt, or whatever the name of that show is. I've never watched it, but that's been a really successful show. And Kevin Malone. Who would you want? Well, I'm going to take, considering Steve Carell and the creator of the North American The Office are the guys running this Space Force, and it's an office comedy, a workplace comedy, I got to believe we're going to get at least a couple. You know what? I'm going to go the over 3.5. I'm thinking minimum they're going to get us 4. And I definitely Rainn Wilson. That to me is a foregone conclusion. And the reality is a lot of the performers from The Office aren't all that busy. I mean, the guy who played Oscar is doing like insurance commercials now. State Farm, is that what? I think he's doing like the State Farm commercials now. And he was great in The Proposal, by the way. He was awesome in The Proposal. But God, I would love to see a John Krasinski appear. And the girl who played Pam, and I forget the actress's name. She was married to James Gunn, and I was just talking about her yesterday. But anyway, her, Rainn Wilson. I'd love to see Meredith. I'd love to see, I'm just, if we're talking not in the premiere episode, but just over for a season, I'm going to take the over 3.5. All right, Sebastian writes, Detective Pikachu will over-deliver at the box office. I don't know about that because people have some pretty lofty... You can only say, Sebastian, that's going to overperform if people are thinking it's going to make $8. I think there are some pretty high expectations for how much Detective Pikachu is going to make because that first trailer crushed it. And a lot of people are talking about it. So I'm going to say, no, it's not going to over-deliver because I think people have quite high expectations of what it's going to deliver. I don't think the expectations are low. I think the expectations are high. So I'm going to disagree with you on that. Spencer Main writes, have you seen Biodome, buddy? How terrible was it? It was pretty damn terrible. It was pretty damn terrible. God, why do you even put that back in my head, man? Spencer follows up, justice for Han? How about justice for Barb? Yeah, that was the other big thing. Barb in can't keep on saying Stranger Places, Stranger Things. Yeah, a lot of people are, you know what's funny? Ann and I and Kaori and our buddy Ryan, we went to this this little restaurant here in Burbank that's also like it's this amazing place. I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it's this place in Burbank where it's like a pub restaurant. You go and get burgers and fries. They have some pretty decent food. But also, they have tons of shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves of games. And you go in there, order dinner, go up to one of the shelves, pick one of the 5,000 games, bring it to your table, and you guys play games while you're having dinner. It's a great concept. I love it. Anyway, we were there one night, and the girl who plays Barb came in and sat at the table right beside us. True story. And she was sitting there at the table beside us. We didn't go over and talk to her or anything because we just wanted to leave her alone, she was with other friends. We didn't want to bother her. So we let her do that. But yeah, justice for Barb. Sebastian, could Lion King maybe be a Mary Poppins Returns letdown? No chance. There's a couple of advantages there's a couple of things that give Lion King more of a leg up. Number one, Lion King is a much more contemporary film. It's older now, but it's a much more contemporary film than Mary Poppins was. But here's the other thing. Mary Poppins was not a revisit to that. It was a sequel. Not the least of which, it's not like Mary Poppins, the filmmaker of Mary Poppins, remade another classic story just 1 or 2 years earlier that was amazing. You see, with Lion King, not only is it Lion King, but Jon Favreau just did another movie much in the vein of how this Lion King is being made with Jungle Book and crushed it. And it became like $1 billion film. So for all those extra circumstances that are there that wasn't there for Mary Poppins, and Mary Poppins was a letdown. I was so excited for that movie. And I thought Mary Poppins could end up being the #1 box office movie of the December. And that included Spider-Man, Aquaman thing, because I thought it was going to be the best movie of the bunch and it would have the longest legs. And then I saw the movie and I'm like, oh, well, there goes that theory. The movie is simply not good enough to get people to come back or to get people to tell their friends to go see Mary Poppins. Just wasn't good enough. So, yeah, anyway. So, no, I do not look. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Could Lion King could be the worst movie of the decade. It could. Anything's possible, but I think it's highly unlikely at this point. Orange Hand writes, is it true visitors to LA have trouble distinguishing hobos from aspiring screenwriters? It's funny because in LA, there's no such thing as a waitress. They're aspiring actresses. There's no such thing as waiters. They're aspiring actors or musicians. Like you go, that's the running gag, but it's a gag because it's mostly true. You go into a restaurant, there's a good solid chance that the waiter or waitress who is serving you is, when they're done their shift, is going off to auditions. That's the thing. When you go into a coffee shop, I swear to God, I don't think I've ever walked into a coffee shop in Los Angeles where there's not at least 5 different people sitting at different tables working on their screenplays. I mean, it's kind of a thing here, man. It really is kind of a thing. Spencer Mayhem writes, I declare, bankruptcy. Great moment from The Office. Michael Scott in The Office is struggling with his finances, and he's trying to figure out what are the benefits of going bankrupt and declaring bankruptcy, right? You declare bankruptcy. But he clearly doesn't understand how it works because he goes into the middle of the office and yells, I declare bankruptcy, thinking that makes it all. It was a great moment and a great show. Thank you for bringing that up, Spencer. Curtis Lopez writes, I saw Unbreakable for the first time yesterday. Oh, nice. Before Glass, and I really enjoyed it. What a brilliant love letter to comic book mythology, and a much more subtle, a much better paced, a much more subtle, and never did that movie ever feel like it was pandering. I never felt like Unbreakable ever was pandering to comic book fans. Certainly not the way that Glass does. It just felt desperate in Glass. But yeah, Unbreakable, Make no mistake about it. Unbreakable's great. That is a great M. Night movie. And I'm glad you had a chance to watch that for the first time. Brian Esparza writes, from yesterday's question, Phoenix also in Mary... Oh, Magdalene. Oh, that's right. Sister and Sisters Brothers, of course. You were never really here, and he won't get far on foot. Those are the two we remembered. I think all were overlooked. No, we talked, we mentioned Never Really Here, and then somebody else brought up You Won't Get Far on Foot. It was those other two that I totally forgot about it. It's easy to forget about it. Sisters Brothers was a movie I thought looked awesome. And it was okay. I'll be quite frank with you. I thought The Sisters Brothers was quite forgettable. And what a cast. Like, besides Joaquin, you have John C. Reilly, Riz Ahmed, Jake Gyllenhaal. Very, very kind of forgettable movie. And I'll be honest, I never bothered with Mary Magdalene. I never bothered with it. But thank you for bringing it up, because that was a little itch in my brain. I'm glad you brought that up, Brian. Thanks for reminding us. Curtis writes, too bad most people didn't like Glass. I quite enjoyed it. Thought it was decent enough follow-up to Unbreakable and Split. Well, hey, man, that's just because other people don't like it, just because I don't like it, doesn't mean you shouldn't like it. And if you got enjoyment out of it, that's what the movies are all about, and I think that's awesome. But yeah, I wanted to like it. I was excited about the film. The trailer was fantastic. Shyamalan was on a great little streak with again, The Visit, followed up by Split. So much potential. I wish I didn't walk out as disappointed as I did, but I really did. I walked out quite disappointed. Curtis writes, will you be doing a Glass spoiler discussion? I don't think so. Just because I don't want to talk about the movie anymore. I was so disappointed with it. So, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe. I'll think about it, but it's not a lot of fun doing spoiler discussions about movies you really didn't like, and I really didn't like Glass, and I wanted to, but whatever. And then again, Curtis follows up, John, are you going to do a live reaction to the Oscar nominations on Tuesday the 22nd like last year? Will you also watch the Oscars live? Yes. I am going to do the Oscars live. Remember last year, we just put on a webcam with us watching the Oscars. It was a lot of fun, and we had some great discussion. And this year, it's going to be me and Robert Meyer Burnett and probably Ashley. And I'll see. Now, fact checker Jonathan has a family and kids. It's hard to get him out of the house in the evenings. But I'm going to see maybe fact checker Jonathan and Ray if they want to be over too. But we are definitely going to be live streaming us watching the Oscars. So make sure you guys join us for that. Live reaction to the nominees, probably not, because it's done at like 5 in the morning. So I'll probably just do a reaction video a little bit later in the day to the nominees. But yes, definitely going to be doing a live stream of us watching the Oscars. Let's see. KW Garrett writes, shout out for The Jerk with Steve Martin. Fantastic. The Jerk is iconic. It's a classic many of your younger viewers may have missed. Love the ending. That's all I need joke. Yeah. Guys, listen to KW here. The Jerk is one of the all-time classic comedies. Maybe my number 2 favorite Steve Martin comedy, behind maybe only Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. The Jerk is wonderful. Heed the advice of KW Garrett and check that movie out when you get a chance. I'm Upset writes, thoughts on Coming to America 2 being announced? I had no idea. Was it? Hold on a second. Coming to America 2, moving forward with Eddie Murphy. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, yeah. So I guess this kind of came out a couple of days ago. Let's see. After many years, I'm reading some of this. After many years of anticipation, I'm thrilled. By the way, I love the first Coming to America. First Coming to America is great. Now, I'm thrilled that Coming to America 2 is officially moving forward, Eddie Murphy said in a statement according to Entertainment Weekly. We've assembled a great team that will be led by Craig Brewer, who just did an amazing job on Dolomite is My Name, and I'm looking forward to bringing all these classic and beloved characters to the big screen again. Well, he says he's doing it. Then again, many times I've seen people say that movies are coming and they never materialize. Let's put it this way. With Coming to America, I would love to see another one. But I am definitively in a I'll believe it when I see it kind of mindset when it comes to it. I'll believe it when I see it. So let's see if it... Because like I said, we've seen lots of movies where the actor says, we're doing this, and then it never happens. I'll believe it when I see it. And hopefully it does, because I would be quite excited to see that. All right, Murray Reich writes, Glass was pretty good and intense in many ways, in many ways, until the end. McAvoy was the best. Jackson was good. Willis wasn't phoning it in. No, it's true. Bruce Willis wasn't phoning it in. He just, again, I don't know if he had 10 lines. Yet his arc was mostly sidelined, but seriously, that's your ending? And again, I thought the movie was bad. I thought it was bad. Not a total train wreck, but bad. Bad film. But I appreciate the ending. At least I appreciate what they were going for. They didn't execute well. They didn't stick the landing. But I can at least go, I see what he was going for there, and I appreciate what he was going for. Again, to me, it just was about execution and not hitting it. I got to tell you what, I felt no intensity. I felt no intensity in the film at all. Again, the first 10 to 15 minutes, great. The first 10 to 15 minutes, what I was expecting from Glass. After that, it became insanely, as a film, narratively became very repetitive, thus taking away any pace it had, extremely slow, and just felt like I was insultingly being pandered to by people who didn't understand the audience. And that really bothered me, and I wish I liked it more, but hey, it is what it is. If you got some enjoyment out of Murray, I celebrate that. That's great. I'm glad you liked it. Curtis writes, also saw Stars Born again in Dolby. Loved it more. By the way, how cringy is that Grammy scene? Man, first of all, yes, Stars Born is going to have a lot of momentum going into the Oscars this year, man. It's a fabulous movie. The Grammy scene. See, cringy denotes something negative. I didn't find it cringy. I found it so uncomfortable. But I mean that in the best way. So uncomfortable. And that's where you're going. I often use that same word to describe many scenes in The Office. The Office makes it so uncomfortable. There are scenes in The Office where I have to cover my eyes and go, ah, because it's so uncomfortable to see, but in a great way. And understanding what they were going for with that scene, yeah, that Grammy scene was definitely that. Murray Reich writes, so this AMC theater in New York City I went to see Glass had a room that featured heated on-off switch recliners because the East Coast is, frigid. Really? I never heard of that. I've honestly never heard of that. The recliners were heated? That's amazing. Like, it's funny. In Los Angeles, we have no need for heated seats. But I just went back to Canada and we used my mom's got a great vehicle. And her car has heated seats. You can even control how hot you want the seats to get. And you can put up hot enough that your ass feels like it's toasting. Or you can have it low, subtle. And in the winter out there, that's amazing. Obviously, that's not something we need in Los Angeles. But holy crap, Murray, that sounds amazing. That's a great idea. That must be expensive, too, for them to put those together. But I've never heard of that. That sounds amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Murray. Now I know. All right. Crusher Lyle writes, hey, John. Wondering what your and Robert Meyer Burnett's thoughts on The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. My number one favorite, Walter Houston steals the show as the grizzled prospector Howard, possibly John Huston's best. And by the way, it's the movie that, this is an old black and white film, ladies and gentlemen, but you guys I'm sure you've all seen people make jokes of, badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Or in Weird Al Yankovic's UHF, they make a joke of it. Badgers? We don't need no stinking badgers. That's the movie it comes from. That's the movie that scene comes from. It's a movie that, I'm telling you what, kind of holds up today. The themes of not only chasing dreams and trying to get rich, but, it's the classic thing. We've seen a lot of other movies steal from this movie these themes of people get rich, friends find great success, but then are so greedy that they become suspicious of one another and they start turning on each other and blah, blah, blah. That all comes from The Treasure of Sierra Madre. That's where it all comes from. And that movie explores those themes so great. And the ending of that movie is so great. Look, I know a lot of you guys don't like foreign language films, you don't like subtitle films, you don't like watching old black and white films. That, I get it. But if you ever have a weekend and you're in the mood to kind of expand your cinematic repertoire a little bit, and you feel like maybe I should watch one of the old classics today, this is one you should check out. Take Crusher Lyle's advice here. This is one you should check out. I highly recommend. It's a really great movie. One of the greats. Thanks for bringing it up, Crusher. Okay, Murray follows up with, does the film Splits, I think you mean Split, does the film Split big reveal at the end ruin it for those that are too old, or sorry, that are told to watch the trilogy for the first time? Does the film Split's big reveal at the end ruin it for those who are told to watch the trilogy for the first time? Okay, I'm not quite sure what you're asking, Marie. If what you're asking is the reveal in Split ruined because of Glass for those who haven't watched Unbreakable and Split? It gives it away, but I don't think it ruins it. It's one of those things, like, I bring this, look, spoilers often don't, not always, but often don't really bother me. Because it's not about what's the end point, it's about the journey to that. I know the Titanic sinks. It's not about that. It's about what happens between now and when the Titanic sinks. How we get there. That's the thing, right? So, if that's what you're asking, does it... I don't think it ruins it. Now, that's just me. You could ask 100 other people and you might get 99 different answers. But for me, I don't personally think it ruins it, but that's just me and my sensibilities. All right. Nicholas Glenn writes, what's your thoughts on Lucasfilm stepping in and ordering Warner Chappell to release the claim on Star Wars Theories Vader fan film? I got on Twitter. I thought that was very classy. I thought that was very, very classy of Lucasfilm. They didn't have to do that. But they did, and I thought that was a very, very classy move on their part, which is great because I think that hopefully that increases the chances that Star Wars Theory will want to do a sequel. Because I'd like to see a follow-up to this one. I really would. Wad Wan Wax writes, hey, John, when talking about 2019's releases, I've heard no anticipation for Frozen 2. Are you excited for it? And what are your thoughts about Frozen 2? Well, I know it's very popular to bag on Frozen. I liked Frozen. I thought Frozen was quite good. And when it got more popular, people just got more bitter against it. And when it crossed 1 billion, a lot of people just got bitter. I like Frozen. Frozen's good. I gotta admit that I'm not all that pardon me, guys. The cough's getting kind of bad here. I'm not all that excited about a Frozen 2. And you guys have to excuse me. The cough's getting bad here, so I'm gonna put in a Halls. I know it's a little annoying listening to somebody talk when they've got a Halls in their mouth. I get that, but I think it's more annoying hearing me cough and choke all the time. So I'm just gonna do that, and hopefully it'll cut down on the amount of choking I'm doing. Okay, so and you know that Olaf short film that came out, I didn't think was very good. So while I liked the first film, and I'm going to go see Frozen 2. Yeah, because I like the first one, but I got to admit, I don't feel a lot of excitement for it. And I wonder how big of an issue just the fact that I didn't like the Olaf film. Maybe that's a really big something to do. I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but we'll have to find out. All right. I'm Upset writes, what's the worst? The Pacifier, Tooth Fairy, or Spy Next Door? I got to go Tooth Fairy. I mean, yeah, Pacifier is no winner. Spy Next Door is no winner, but they're close. But I think I'm going to have to go with Tooth Fairy. All right. Cincy17 writes, just want to say thank you for referring A-List. My wife and I averaged 50 plus movies a year, signed up back in June, and saved over $1,100 last year alone. Thanks. Dude, I used my A-List last night. Ann and I both got A-List. We both went last night to watch Split. It is the best movie club service out there. It is absolutely the best. And I can't wait to see what Regal comes up with, because you know Regal's going to launch one this year. And I can't wait to see what it does. And yeah, A-List is a movie fan's dream. And hopefully you guys live close. If you guys live anywhere remotely close to an AMC theater, I highly recommend A-List. It's great. All right, John Hine writes, did you see Vox Lux, one of my favorites of 2018? I did, and I liked it. Why am I freezing on Natalie Portman? I was thinking, why am I freezing on Padme's name? Natalie Portman's remarkable in it. She's great. And I don't know, maybe Vox Lux is one of those situations where my expectations were a little bit too high, because it's good. It's definitely a good movie. And the whole dynamic with her and the girl, great. Just didn't live up to my hopes. So good, but it didn't quite live up to my expectations for it. So that's just me. SJ writes, This Is the End is a great comedy. Just saw, oh, This Is the End is great. If we're talking about the same one, if we're talking about the Seth Rogen one, let me just double check and make sure that's the, This Is the End. Oh, I wrote The Is the End. Sorry. That should bring it up here. Yeah, 2013, James Franco, Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, 1,000 other stars in it. That movie is freaking hilarious. And it's one of those comedies that I was not expecting much out of. But me and Ann went to go see it, and we almost vomited. We were laughing so hard. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ann and I then turned around and we went back and watched it again the next day. I think we went the next day to watch it again. I love that movie. It's a little weird and gets kind of meta near the end and what they do with things, but I'm telling you, it's just funny. If you just want to go to movies and laugh a lot, yeah, take SJ's recommendation there and go check out This Is the End, because it's really, really good. All right. Mark Newman writes, hey, John, today's my birthday. Congratulations, man. Happy birthday. The big 4-0. Any profound wisdom to share? Profound wisdom. You know, again, I said this to Robert the other day, who was lamenting how old he is. And I said, take the great wisdom from the movie Tag. You don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. Play. Whatever it is you love to do, don't slow down on the things you love to do. Just keep going. And happy birthday again, man. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. John Durig writes, because of you, I got into John Wick. Thank you. Well, hey, man, thanks for sharing that. The director for Chapter 3 stated to IGN that this movie will show some of John's origin. Interesting. I didn't see that interview. That is interesting, because they told a lot of neat stories about his origin, but doing some flashbacks and getting some origin stuff, that sounds pretty good, which makes sense because it seems like him and Halle Berry's character have a history. So maybe his history with her goes back to his origins, and maybe that's how it's going to play into it. I think that could be interesting. Whatever they do with John Wick, I know I'm going to love it. All right. Raymond Verrata writes, would you do a Glass spoiler talk even if you didn't like M. Night? There's this guy who doesn't like Discovery but still does videos because of the views. Well, here's the thing. There are people online, and I don't know who you're talking about, so I'm not singling out anybody, okay? When I was at Comic-Con this year and doing my panel at Comic-Con, and we were talking about getting started in YouTubing, one of the things I said to the audience is, whatever it is you do on your YouTube channel, don't become identified by what you hate. Don't let your identifying factor be, oh, that's so-and-so, the person who hates this. I mean, you're not going to love everything. There are going to be things that you hate, but don't make that your ID badge. Be known for what it is that you love, right? I need to do a review of Glass, so I tell you I didn't like it. But I'm not going to do an 8-part series stretched over 4 months about why I think Glass sucks, part 1, and why I think Glass sucks, part 2, and why I think Glass sucks, part 3. Okay, look, do your review, say you didn't like it, say you hated it, and then move on. There are views to be had by being a whiny baby. There are views to be had by being a screaming child. And there are people out there who like to take advantage of that. Look, if I hate a movie, I will tell you I hate a movie. But I'm not going to put out a series of videos every single day talking about why I hate that movie. And there are people who do that. I didn't like Glass. So I'm hesitant to do a spoiler discussion about it because I didn't like the film. You know? Now, moving forward, if somebody asks me a question tomorrow about Glass, I will reiterate I didn't like Glass. If somebody asks me a live question on Monday about Glass, I'll reiterate. Like, if people keep asking me questions, I'll answer the question. But I'm not going to make video after video after video after video after video. Why I hate this, why I hate this, why I hate... I'm just not going to do that. There are movies I hate. You know there are movies I hate. People bring up the Star Wars prequels to me. I'll mention I hate them. But I'm not going to make 18 videos about why I hate the Star Wars prequels. Maybe at one point in my career when, you know, I was less mature. Not I'm all that mature now. But when I was less mature, maybe I would have done that. But, I don't want to be known by what I hate. I don't want to focus my attention on the things that I hate. I want to focus my attention on the things that I like. Now, there's if I get tons of email from people and they ask me to do a spoiler review of Glass and we do a spoiler discussion live, maybe I'll do it. But my first inclination is to not because, you know, it's just not what I like to do. But anyway, that's just me. Okay. Cornflakes writes, is Kingpin more of a Daredevil or Spider-Man villain? Well, it depends on what you ask. Like, in the comics, longer term, probably Spider-Man. But when it comes to media, he's clearly a Daredevil. When it comes to visual media, he's clearly a Daredevil character. He was the big bad guy in the old 80s Hulk TV movie where Daredevil was a special guest. He was the guy there. I think if I'm remembering right, the guy who played Kingpin in that, I think it was John Rhys Davies, the guy who plays Sala in Indiana Jones, and the guy who plays the dwarf in Lord of the Rings. I believe that was him who played Kingpin. But anyway, then you got Kingpin in Kingpin in the Ben Affleck Daredevil. You have Kingpin in the Netflix series of Daredevil, and then you have Kingpin in the Spider-Man anime. So it depends on which medium you're talking about. The comic books, you might get one answer. Television and movies, you might get another one. But I think right now, today, probably more people will identify Kingpin with Daredevil just because that's the way he's been portrayed in a lot of the television and film media lately. All right. Robert Perez writes, just wanted to say hi. Have a good weekend. Go Rams. Well, thank you so much. You know, I am torn on that Rams-New Orleans Saints game because I love Tom Breeze. I love Drew Brees. I mean, Tom Brady's the GOAT, but I love Drew Brees. That dude is a fun guy to watch play quarterback, man. Just a fun guy to watch play quarterback. But I love the LA Rams. They play a great, entertaining brand of football. And I'm in Los Angeles, so there's a little Homer stuff going on there too, but I'm torn on that game. I don't know who I'm cheering for. I just know it's going to be a great game. All right, Vlad Mamet writes, love Parademons in Justice League. Kind of Chitauri Invasion 2.0. Awesome design, an intimidating concept. They were people once. Better be killed than become one. I liked the Parademons as well. I thought it was a pretty good design. I don't know. I didn't like how they ended it like, oh, they just smell fear. And the moment that Steppenwolf was feeling a little bit of uncertainty and a little bit of fear, the Parademons just swarmed to him. Flash was feeling scared. You didn't see all the Parademons just focus. I don't know. There was something they did that was a little inconsistent with that. But the basic stuff you're talking about, Vlad, the design of the characters, the idea behind them, like they are defeated race. They're almost like Borg from Star Trek. They're a conquered civilization that then get assimilated into their collective, right? That's kind of what the Parademons are. And I like the concept of them. I wasn't thrilled with a lot of the execution of it, but I like the concept of them. All right. Lincoln Johnson writes, besides Star Wars, what are some of your favorite opening scenes in movies? One of my favorites is the opening to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh yeah, the Raiders is great. You know what's one I love? I think it's because it caught so many people off guard. The opening to Die Hard 3. The opening to Die Hard 3. It's, all right, hey, Die Hard 3. Dun, dun, you got music playing, and then some shots of a city. All stereotypical stuff you expect to see at the beginning of a movie. Like, the music starts playing, shots of the city, like people in the city, and all of a sudden, the music stops with a big explosion in a building. And that's how the movie starts. I was like, I love this. Because a lot of movies, especially at the time, it takes them like 20 minutes to get into what the movie is, right? And that Die Hard came out, screen comes up, a few seconds of music and random shots of the city, and boom! And that's the start of your movie. Loved it. There's probably more if I sat down to think about it for a while, Lincoln. But that's one that really comes to my mind. Catman writes, where's the U2 biopic? I don't know. I just don't know. Look, U2's my all-time favorite band. I just don't know. Is there a story there to tell? Is there a story there to tell that would make for a compelling biopic? I don't know. I've read some biography stuff on U2, like with Paul and the rest of them, but I just don't know if there's a movie there to be made. Canada Rocks writes, I saw Glass last night and I thought it was really good. I am honestly baffled by the low critic scores. I'm baffled that anybody likes it. I mean, it's all subjective, and if you liked it, that's great. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you shouldn't. But one of the things I said on Twitter last night was, right now, Glass, I don't know what it has right now, but at the time, Glass had a 37 or a 36%. Hold on a second. Glass, Rotten Tomato. I want to see what it is right now. Right now, Glass, it's gone down 1%. It's at 36%. I got on Twitter last night. I said, I think I said 37 at the time, but I said, right now, Glass has a 37% Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm baffled how it's that high. I just don't get how it's that high. To me, it's insultingly pandering to an audience it clearly doesn't understand and get, with terrible pacing. Good start. But hey, that's just how I felt about it. You felt differently about it, and I'm happy you had a good time. And I'm happy now you've got another movie to add to the list of movies you enjoy watching, and that's great. I just thought it was rottenly disappointing. Not the worst movie of the year, although, yeah, worst movie of the year so far. It's January 18th. I declare that Glass is the worst movie of the year so far, but it will not be one of the 10 worst movies of the year by the end of the year, or nothing like that. It's not a train wreck of a movie. I just, so radically disappointed in it. All right. The Halo Brony writes, it's my birthday on Sunday. Any movie recommendations? Oh man, for what's in the theater right now? Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse is the best movie in theaters right now. Go check that out. Watcher X writes, and by the way, happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday. Watcher X writes, I know I'm going to get hate. I hope we never get Galactus. Unless he is human size, I don't think it would work live. I always thought he looked dumb in comics. Fans, you can begin insulting me now. I honestly, I'm not going to say I hope they never use Galactus. I will say, though, that's a hell of a challenge. That's a hell of a challenge. Because, again, I always tell people, Watcher, just because something works on the printed page, and something can be awesome on a printed page in a comic book, but that would never work in a live-action environment. Galactus is one of those characters in one of those scenarios where I have a very, very difficult time imagining how you do that in any way that the audience wouldn't think is completely, utterly ridiculous and stupid. Because you can't fight Galactus. I don't care how magic Iron Man's armor has gotten. Pew, 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 pew. What's that going to do to Galactus? I don't care how strong Hulk is. What's that going to do to Galactus? I don't care how much lightning Thor can shoot out of that axe. It ain't going to do nothing to Galactus. So, I don't know. I'll say this. I'm not going to say I hope they never use Galactus. I'll say this, though. If I was Kevin Feige, I would never use Galactus. Because, like you said, you'd have to modify him pretty heavily. But if you modify him pretty heavily, then you're going to turn off the hardcore fans. So I don't think there's a win with Galactus. I don't know. Maybe, look, if anybody could pull it off, it's Kevin Feige and crew. If anybody's going to come up with a good way to make that work, it's Kevin Feige. I'm just saying it's going to be challenging, man. It's definitely going to be challenging. Okay. Jabin Carter writes, Hans Gruber was just a misunderstood German who wanted to provide for his family. He shouldn't have been thrown off that roof. Hashtag justice for Hans. Love it. Well said. Hans Gruber, just a misunderstood man who's just trying to make his way in the galaxy. That's all he is. You misunderstand him. How dare Bruce Willis prevent him from earning a living and for providing for his family? Damn that, Bruce. Justice for Hans Gruber. I love that. That was great, Jabin. The Man with the Plan writes, Solo is on Netflix now. Going to check it out. I hope to love it. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to say I love that movie, but I really enjoyed Solo. Great, fun space adventure film. And the vast majority of people agree. It's a really good, fun adventure. Not for everybody, and you may not like it. And if you don't, that's totally okay. But I had a lot of fun with Solo. Carlos Eskimo writes, Hey, John and Robert, I just got to say that Han was stealing from DK. I can't remember what DK is. So he had it coming. And he did eat in every goddamn scene he was in. Hashtag had it coming. Damn right, Carlos Eskimo. Hashtag Han had it coming. All right. Let's see here. We're a little bit over time. We're getting close to the end here. Adam Martinez writes, Glass started good but got bad, especially ending. Yeah. Again, I appreciated the ending they were going for. I can even admire the ending they were going for. And yes, started strong. Started strong. The first 15, maybe even 20 minutes, I was in. And then it just came off the rails. Rages as Fridgeby writes, Saw A Star Is Born. Last song broke me. I was sure that people were overhyping Gaga's performance, but man, her, Bradley, and Sam were brilliant. They were all really good. And yeah, people forget Gaga's been doing a lot of acting for many years. Like, we don't think of Lady Gaga as an actress. So we go in, oh, okay, so Lady Gaga's trying acting. She's actually done a lot of acting. And this was clearly a role that was tailored for her. Clearly. But it does not take away that she was brilliant in it. She was great. And my God, Sam Elliott, so good. I think he deserves an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, maybe even a win. It's going to be close between him and Mahershala Ali, because Mahershala Ali was so good in Green Book. But yeah, man, so I'm glad you had a chance to see it. And yeah, powerful movie. Powerful movie. Let's see here. Anonymous writes, could Tony's barf tech play a part in Endgame? I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I can't remember what barf tech is. Brian Clark writes, FYI, school buses do have luggage compartments underneath. Most of them do not. So marching bands and football teams can store their gear. So you could pick up kids from the airport, but yeah, they're coming home. First of all, most school buses do not. The vast majority of school buses do not. Secondly, and when you see Peter hanging out that bus, you can see that's the type of bus that does not have storage compartments underneath it. So it was a regular old cheese block school bus doing that kind of thing. And then, yes, on top of that, they do specify that they're coming from their field trip from the Museum of Modern Art, not from their trip to Europe, not a prequel. So yes, absolutely on that. But Brian, yeah, most school buses do not have that. Most don't. All right, Darren TB100 writes, hey, John, as a get-rich-quick idea, I would set up a company to provide body bags and follow John Wick around. $1 million in one day. Instant millionaire, my friend. That's a terrific. You should go on Shark Tank, Darren. I guilty pleasure. I watch Shark Tank once in a while. I don't know why, but I do. If I'm flipping through channels and it's on, I'll stop and watch Shark. I don't know why. I get a kick out of that show. That's definitely a concept, Darren, that you should take to Shark Tank. I think you'll get them all to buy in on that. All right, JCL Productions writes, John, Rob, and Ashley. Well, it's only John here today. Any of you see that Amazon Prime show Fortitude yet? No, but I've heard about it. I've heard it's good. Check it out. A small mountain town in Iceland gets infected with an ancient virus that was trapped in the snow that is slowly melting. I've heard from people, JCL, that this Fortitude show is one I should check out. And so it is on my radar. It's absolutely on my radar. You know, it's crazy that back in the day, like when I was a little kid, it was 4 networks. It was ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. Today, now it's not just HBO cranking out great shows, and it's not just Hulu cranking out some great original shows, and it's not just Amazon. I mean, you got all these entities now making some great shows, including Amazon, and there's so much good content out there. It is tough to keep up, man. It is tough to keep up, but yeah, man, this Fortitude one sounds like a show that's right up my alley. I got to get on my list, and I got to get around to watching that. All right. Preston Walden writes, the glass is half empty. Very funny. Strong beginning, but weak second half / ending. Far-fetched and reaching. I give it around a C. Well, I mean, any superhero movie is far-fetched, right? I mean, any superhero movie is far-fetched. It's just, can you execute? And I just didn't feel that executed. Now, I'm seeing some people saying, well, this ends M. Night Shyamalan. I don't think this is the end for the Shamhammer. I don't think this is the end. Look, the fact of the matter is, if you count Glass as a loss, and some people count it as a win, but even if you count it as a loss, he's 2 out of 3 for his last 3 films. I thought The Visit was good. I thought Split was good. I don't think Glass is good. Okay, fine, but 2 out of his last 3 have been decent. That's not bad. So I don't think this is the end for Shamhammer. Not to mention, I think it's going to make some money. It's going to make some money opening weekend. What kind of legs it'll have, I'm not really sure, but it's going to make some money. So don't believe anybody who tells you that this is the end of M. Night Shyamalan. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. And he's certainly not the end of him for me. So let's see how that kind of unravels. All right, next one. Last 2 questions. Razor's Edge Frisbee writes, can't wait to finally share my top 10 of 2018 on here. Only one more left on my to-watch list before I make it. Spider-Verse here I come. Oh, dude, you still haven't watched Spider-Verse? It's going to be on your list. I mean, I don't know your particular movie tastes, but I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that Spider-Verse is going to be on your list. I'm so glad Robert finally got around to it. Again, to me, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the 3rd best movie. Not 3rd best comic book movie, not 3rd best animated movie, the 3rd best movie, period, of 2018. I just continue to be completely overwhelmed by how good that movie was. What a pleasant surprise that whole thing was. All right, final question of the day. Comes to us from Jeff Fortner, who writes, North by Northwest or Vertigo? Dude, I've been asked this question like 3 or 4 times. Seriously. I've literally been asked this exact question 3 or 4 times, and my answer always changes. It's too close. I go back and forth. I'm going to lean towards North by Northwest. I'm going to lean towards North by Northwest in this time, but there have been times on the day you catch me, I might say Vertigo, but I'm going to go North by Northwest. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thanks so much for being here and coming along for the ride. Don't forget the John Campea Show is live on days that we hit stream instead of record. It is live every day, Monday through Friday. We'll be back again on Monday. I'm going to do some open mics this weekend, maybe even this afternoon. Keep your eyes open for that sort of stuff. And I got some more companion videos coming as well. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name's John Campea. Thanks for being here. And until next time, bye-bye.